Every headline screams the same truth. The world is drowning in debt. America owes over $38 trillion, Europe over $14 trillion, Japan nearly $9 trillion, and even the richest oil nations Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait carry mountains of unpaid promises. But here's the mystery. If every country owes money, then who is the world actually indebted to? A hidden creditor, a shadow empire, or something far more surprising? Welcome to the Financial Historian, where money, power, and time twist together, and where reality is rarely what it appears to be. Debt wasn't born in banks or stock exchanges. It was born on the battlefield. In 1694, England stood on the brink of destruction. War with France had drained its treasury. Gold had vanished. The crown was desperate. So the king made a deal that would change the fate of humanity. Merchants funded the war, and in return the government promised them something new: interest, backed by future taxes. To manage the system, England created an institution, the Bank of England, and with it, the first true national debt. France followed. Holland perfected it. And soon, the newborn United States used it to fight for independence. Debt had evolved from a burden into a weapon of power. Empires no longer needed to conquer land for gold. They could conquer credit, and the world would fund their wars for them. Today, the world runs not on money, but on promises of money. Every 100 days, global debt raises by another $1 trillion. Nations borrow, banks lend, central banks print, and citizens through pensions, savings, and taxes hold both sides of the contract. It's a cycle so vast that we hardly notice it anymore. But let's zoom in. The United States owes $38 trillion, a number so large it feels meaningless. But break it open, and a strange pattern appears. Almost half is simply America owing itself. American banks, American pension funds, American insurance companies, and the Federal Reserve. About a third, around $9 trillion, is held abroad. Japan owns the most, followed by China, but even combined, they hold only a tiny fraction of the whole. So when people say America is controlled by China, the truth is far more bizarre. The US is mostly in debt to the US treasuries are issued. Banks buy them. The Fed buys from banks. Taxpayers fund the interest. And that interest flows back into American retirement accounts. It's not a loan. It's a circular mirror. Japan buys US bonds. The US funds the IMF. The IMF lends to Europe. Europe lends to developing nations. Those nations store their reserves in Western bonds. And round it goes, a planetary carousel of promises, not a conspiracy, just a system that no one ever planned, but everyone now depends on. Behind every government bond is a network of power: hedge funds, sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, and central banks. They decide which nations get cheap credit, and which nations drown in interest. Governments may win elections, but markets decide survival. The ultimate referee, central banks. With a single purchase of government bonds, they create money out of thin air. One entity's debt becomes another entity's asset. This is why every dollar in your pocket isn't wealth, it's a promise. A promise backed by someone else's debt. The system works only as long as people believe in it. But what happens when they don't? Look at Greece in 2010. Bond yields exploded, economy collapsed, austerity shredded society. Argentina defaulted. Again, Sri Lanka's fuel pumps ran dry. Egypt battles inflation daily. When confidence cracks, the invisible creditors suddenly reveal themselves: IMF negotiators, rating agencies, anonymous investors, and institutions with the power to determine a nation's fate. Governments are not supposed to repay their debt. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Their goal is to refinance, extend, roll over, and keep the machine breathing. If the US paid off its debt, global markets would collapse, banks would lose their safest asset, dollars would vanish, deflation would erase the world economy. Debt isn't a flaw. It's the foundation. It's the heartbeat of modern capitalism. When we say we owe it to ourselves, that's only half the truth. Interest doesn't flow equally. It flows upwards, from workers and taxpayers to those who own the debt. This system quietly transfers wealth from the bottom of society to the institutions at the top. Debt is not just global. It's class-based. Has built a financial machine powered by trust. As long as trust survives, the numbers can stretch toward infinity. But if it breaks, if the world loses faith in the promise, we will rediscover what debt truly is: not a number, not a statistic, but a promise that eventually must face reality. And that day will reshape the world. If this opened your eyes, subscribe for more. History isn't just about the past. It's the blueprint of the future.